him and the end of the second only the bell saved Dober from a knockout he had already taken a spinning elbow that sent him to the canvas, followed by another. From the opposite direction, Silva gestured to Herb Dean to check on Dober's massive cut, but Dean and the ringside doctor signaled that it wasn't his job. Silva, however, knew exactly what his job was. He targeted the cut again, and this time the referee's patience with the carnage wore out. The doctor stopped the fight without hesitation. Just from this introduction to the Fighting Nerds first member, it's clear that they represent a new generation fighters with high-level grappling and knockout power. The best representative of this hybrid style might be Ilia Topuria. What once seemed like Toa's unique approach now appears to be the defining style of MMA's new wave. Mauricio Ri. Let's move up a weight class where Mauricio Ruffi represents the Fighting Nerds with a record of 101 and the fitting nickname One Shot. Throughout his career, he's also worked as a bodyguard for a millionaire, and every single one of his wins has come by knockout. So let's watch every knockout, because trust me, you don't want to miss them. Mauricio Rui started his career with a knockout victory over Marin Paula. Applause. Za. His second win and another knockout came against Winan. Applause. Santos. He kept the momentum going with an impressive KO of Lucas Costa J. Ru, solidifying his reputation. Ruffi then went on to face Rafael Silva, securing yet another knockout. Rui. Next up was Darn Mourinho, who also fell victim to Ruffi's power. Music. Breno Luis Goncalves Silva joining the list of opponents knocked out by applause. Music. Ruffi. As he continued his climb, Cornelio Lascar Rotaro was added to the lineup of KO victims. Applause. Music. Applause. And finally, Ronnie Torres was taken down, with Ruffi's relentless force rounding off an incredible streak. Brescio. Music. My only once has an opponent managed to survive until the third round against him. That was during a pivotal fight in his career where One Shot earned a ticket to the fastest social lift in the industry Contend series. His opponent was a Russian with the distinctly Russian name Raymond Magadalva, Kung Fu World champion. Both fighters were noticeably tense, especially Raymond, who showed it through wild, unprotected spinning attacks. Masio was clearly more cautious than usual. One defensive technique to note here: Ruffi has no fear of turning his head away from a long punch, nearly looking back over his shoulder. This move goes against any MMA or boxing textbook, yet it works for him. His reaction blocks are also impressively sharp. Early in the final round, Magadalev could barely step on his left leg after Ruffi relentlessly attacked it with calf kicks. With Raymond's movement impaired, One Shot began landing devastating single shots on his opponent when the Russian fell awkwardly and tried to grapple to save himself. Mauricio pounded him in the ground game, forcing the referee to stop the beating just 15 seconds before the final bell. Ruffi's powerful strikes, interesting defensive approach, varied arsenal, and intent to knock out with each move, not just each punch, all stand out for his UFC debut against Jimmy Malarkey. One Shot entered the octagon looking more relaxed right off the bat. He threw a move straight out of Tekken and followed up with more of his signature heavy targeted leg kicks. Ruffi's trademark move of turning his head back showed up again, deflecting hits so the impact bypasses his brain and is absorbed by his neck muscles. He even pulled out a shoulder roll. At first glance, it might seem easy to categorize Mauricio as an entertaining but ultimately typical striker. However, his performance continued with a slick scissor takedown, making me rethink that classification. Mauricio Ruffi appears to be a blend of young Conor McGregor's precision and the wild, unorthodox techniques of prime Tony Ferguson. He might just be the ideal lightweight fighter after a knockout victory over Jimmy Malarkey. Next in line was James Lopp, the only Peruvian fighter in the lightweight division and the only fighter in lightweight history to miss the 155 pounds limit. Lon Tup requested a catchweight bout at 165 pounds and still Missed weight entering the fight looking more like a welterweight, but this wasn't a problem for Ruffy. He picked apart Lon Tup as he pleased, even showcasing a new move, a spinning head uppercut. The creative beatdown lasted 2 rounds, but by the third it became clear that Elanop had deliberately missed weight to use his size advantage against Ruffy. Although he couldn't defeat Mauricio, Lon Tup did manage to end Ruffy's 100% knockout streak. This fight remains the only decision victory on Ruffy's record to date. How far do you think he can climb the rankings in this most competitive of divisions? Carlos Bratz in the welterweight division. Representing the fighting nerds, we have a man with a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and a Muay Thai tattoo on his chest, known for his pre-fight drinking and post-fight smoking, and maybe even during the fight if he could. Carlos Prates is the bad boy of the fighting nerds. Yeah bro, I think I smoke s my 15 years old. I have more time living smoking than and without smoking, so for me it's normal. It's to smoke before the fight on the day of the fight, and you know it's normal. So now we here in Louisville, so I trying to go drink some whiskey because here is see off whiskey. I really like whiskey. He started his MMA career sluggishly, but once he got serious he went on a 10-fight winning streak with 9 of those wins coming by finish. Carlos proves his skills both on the ground and on his feet. He has a sharp sense for guard control and has mastered timing for sweeps. For instance, he waited until Ramirez applied pressure from a direction that allowed Carlos to straighten his neck brace on it and gain the mobility needed for a sweep. Once back on his feet, Bratz continued breaking down his opponent with powerful sing shots. In the second round he didn't waste time. A single cross punch sent Ramirez into another dimension. Just like that, Carlos scored a casual 1-punch knockout as if this were a street fight, not a match for a UFC contract. Naturally, he earned that contract with Trayvon Giles as his first opponent. Giles opened with low kicks and front